What's up guys, my name is Ace, and last week with the launch of Season 6, we also got a brand new aftermarket part that came with the weekly challenges, and this is the JAK Salvo Kit for the KATT AMR, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking this down so you guys know exactly how it works. And honestly, this is going to be a pretty quick video because this is actually a pretty simple kit. What it does to the KATT AMR is it converts your bullet into a rocket instead, so this is more like a rocket launcher than a sniper rifle. It also improves our recoil control, which isn't super relevant for a gun like this, as well as our aim down sight speed, which is very relevant for a gun like this, at the cost of bullet velocity, and it's a huge cost to your velocity, much more so than the advanced stats actually state. And then on top of that, something that's not explicitly mentioned here is it will drop our magazine capacity down to just 3 from 5, and it'll lock off the ability to use any larger magazines, so 3 is the most you can have. In fact, not only does it lock off your magazine attachments, you also can't use different ammunition, a muzzle, or a barrel on this, so it is quite limiting. So let's dive into the breakdown of this, and the first thing to point out is this is going to be a one-shot kill anywhere in the body at any range. That range drop-off point that's stated in the advanced stats, it's just not relevant at all. You can shoot them in the toe at 100 meters, and you will still get a one-hit kill, even against an EOD user. That's not going to protect you from a direct hit. Then when it comes to our splash damage, there's a fair amount of splash damage with this compared to what you'd expect out of like the explosive ammo on a sniper rifle. With this, our maximum hit potential with that damage radius with the explosion is 2.2 meters, and at that range, you're only dealing 50 damage. Then at 1.7 meters, we're now capable of dealing 100 damage to the target, and then at 1.2 meters, this is where we deal 150 damage, and therefore it will be a one-hit kill if that shot lands within 1.2 meters of your target, which is pretty impressive actually. Now of course, when it comes to the splash damage, EOD will protect you from it, and therefore even if you shoot right next to their foot, they will survive if they're using EOD padding and they have full health to begin with. But again, if you get a direct impact, EOD is doing nothing to help them. So that's it when it comes to damage versus players. It's pretty straightforward and basic. Now let's have a look at our rocket velocity, since like I said, the advanced stats aren't quite accurate. They state that our bullet velocity with this is 200 meters per second, but it's much slower than that. Based on my test here at 93 meters, the projectile was moving at 60 meters per second on average, which is significantly slower than 200, and as a result, trying to shoot somebody at longer ranges if they're moving a lot, that becomes very difficult, especially hitting them directly. That becomes almost luck-based at that point, and that is one of the big drawbacks to using this. And honestly, even just trying to shoot some of the aerial streaks, like a UAV for instance, that makes this nearly impossible to consistently hit UAVs. I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to be able to figure out exactly how much you have to lead, but with the default optic on this, that UAV can't be on your screen even if you want to be able to lead it enough to hit it. So that can make it very challenging. Now, speaking of streaks, I'm sure this is why a lot of you guys are here on this video. You might want to know how good is this against various streaks in the game. So I tested a good handful of streaks, basically just the obvious ones that you would probably want to use something like this against. And with a remote turret, it takes just 2 shots to take one of those out, which is excellent. Then with the Wilson, it takes 6 shots to take one of those out, which probably makes sense for the power of that streak, but that can take quite some time to get those shots off, since again, we are limited to a 3-round magazine. Then after that, we have the Overwatch Helo, which will also take 6 shots to take one of these out, which for a streak like that, that's actually not that bad. I probably wouldn't want to be doing this solo, but if you're just trying to support your team in taking one of these down, this can be very helpful. As for the VTOL, this unfortunately takes 8 shots to take out a VTOL, and that's going to take you far too long in my experience, and I wouldn't even really attempt this. Unless I'm already using this gun and a VTOL gets called in, sure, I might as well pop some shots off on it, but I definitely wouldn't be swapping to this gun in order to take out a VTOL or anything. And then finally, I just tested a Juggernaut Recon because I was curious to see how that would go as well, and at least with headshots, it only takes 4 shots to kill a Juggernaut Recon with this. And there we go, that's a good handful of streaks that you would probably want to try to use this against. Of course, counter UAV is also one shot, I didn't mention that, but that really shouldn't be a surprise. You can take that thing out with anything in your hands, even a pistol. And now finally, let's just cover a couple other things that you might be wondering. First off, Riot Shields. Is this a counter to the Riot Shield? And if you shoot the Riot Shield directly, no, this is not a counter. It will block all damage. You won't deal any damage to that player at all if you shoot their Riot Shield. However, since we've got a pretty decent damage radius, you can just shoot at their feet next to the Riot Shield. And in that case, it can be a good counter against Riot Shield users if they're not using EOD padding. If they are using EOD, you'll more likely just get a hit marker and then they'll end up killing you. And then finally, you might be wondering about the trophy system. And unfortunately, a trophy system will block the projectile from the JAK Salvo Kit. and therefore that can be a little bit frustrating to deal with if you have a bunch of people using trophy systems and you're trying to use this kit. And outside of that, I'd say there really isn't much else to say about the JAK Salvo Kit for the KATT AMR. It is a pretty straightforward thing, and overall, I don't see much of a use for it outside of just like a fun, gimmicky way to play the game. It's definitely fun to try to get those long-range shots and sort of predict where the enemies are going to be, or if you can get people on like a domination flag, for instance, and get a shot off, you might get like a double or a triple kill. It's definitely possible. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to perform well, this is probably not the gun you're going to want to use. And when it comes to taking out streaks, it's one of those things where if you happen to be using this and it's in your hands, sure, it's pretty decent at helping your team take out various streaks. But at the end of the day, I definitely wouldn't be swapping over to this if my only goal in that moment is to take out enemy streaks. You're much better off with just an LMG with incendiary rounds at that point, or an actual launcher in this game. Now with that, those are just my thoughts on the JAK Salvo Kit for the KATT AMR, and this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you guys feeling about this sniper rocket kit? Have you guys had any fun with it, or not so much? You guys think it just kind of sucks? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.